From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
What's up, world? It's the one and only Pop CBB PrimeTime Capper, and it is time for the premier sports betting show, the Primetime Anglers Live. And I'm feeling good. I'm feeling great. I hope you are feeling the same. Big night last night in Indianapolis. We had crowned ourselves a brand new national champion last night in the Georgia Bulldogs. They won their first national title in 40 years as well, too, last night. 33-18 win last night. It was absolute slugfest back and forth for a while there, but then Georgia was able to take over in the fourth quarter, outscoring Alabama 20-9, and also outscored Alabama 30-9 as well too, when they went down 9-3 in this game. So, you know, they just showed the heart of a champion in that game last night. You can't do anything but clap your hands and tip your cap to Georgia. I know there was a lot of people who felt that because Alabama didn't have two of their superstars in the game, they would have won the game and blah, 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 blah. But Georgia had a superstar defense. And when you have a superstar defense, a lot of guys who are going to line up in the NFL, that from what they said all 11 players could possibly get drafted when it's all said and done in this group as well too. So when you say to yourself, hey, you know, Alabama was missing two guys, it didn't matter. The tape, they had already seen the tape. They had already known. They already knew where their mistakes were coming into this game. They went ahead and they made the adjustment, and they did what all teams who have great defenses do. You fool me once, but you're not going to fool me twice. And that's exactly what happened last night. And, you know, I just really feel like sometimes people just need to give teams their props. It doesn't matter who got hurt. It is what it is. If they couldn't finish the game, they couldn't finish the game. The game is the game, and it's the outcome is going to be the outcome. If you weren't involved in the ending of the game, it's totally irrelevant. You cannot say that they were going to win the game because these two guys would have been healthy. These guys, they were having their way, but they were only getting those in spots. And last night, Bryce Young looked very, very average, to be honest with you. I like the guy. I think he's a great quarterback. But for everybody saying that he's a number one draft pick and all this other stuff, there's going to have to be some improvements that go on over the springtime, summertime for this guy, because the NFL is much harder than people think. College looks really, really good for a lot of guys because it's it's easy when you play for one of the best teams in the nation and you have superstars galore riding with you. But I know that he made this team a lot better than they would have been with any other quarterback at Alabama this year. So I'm saying that he's still a top prospect in my opinion. I just think that now he has some tape to work on the little things that he might have not have been working on before that. But I know he's a good kid. He's going to adjust. And, you know, I just want to make sure everybody knows that I'm not trying to diss him or anything like that, because I know some people get a little sensitive and everything. He is from Pasadena and all that good stuff. So pretty much I liked what I saw, though. He still outgained Stetson Bennett last night in yards as well, too. He threw for 120 more yards than he did last night and completed about 20 more passes than he did, but threw about 20 more passes than he did as well, too, last night. So I already went through the fact that Georgia outscored Alabama 27-9 in the second half. Also, Bennett was 17-26, 224 yards, 2 touchdowns. Bryce Young was 35 of 57, 369 passing yards, 1 touchdown, 2 interceptions, and 1 was returned for a pick six that pretty much cinched the game. Georgia got their first win over Alabama in 14 years, and Bama was better on third down, going 9-20 in this game. Georgia had 5 sacks. Bama also outgained Georgia 399 and 354. Bama is not, and here goes a fun fact for you guys that just think that Alabama is the greatest thing since sliced bread in the Nick Saban era. Name the last time this team went back-to-back in the Nick Saban era. I'll go ahead and give you the answer. Never. So pretty much they have won a lot of national championships in the Nick Saban era. I think 7 out of the last 15 years or so. But still, they haven't won back-to-backs. And pretty much this is the tell of the story. So I know a lot of people probably who knew that fact jumped all over Georgia in this game. Georgia, Bama, already the top 2 ranked teams in the nation as well too. Already big favorites at the book. Actually, is 3 of them 4-1. Bama, Georgia, and Ohio State. So this was a very fun college football season, but at the end of the day, this college football is starting to kind of wear out. It's starting to kind of lose its luster a little bit. I think that they need to extend the playoffs to 4 more teams. And I know a lot of people say, well, if we extend it to 4 more teams and it's still an end result at the end of the day, then what's the point of extending it to 4 teams? No, you have to extend it to 4 teams because it is going to give this some meaning. And I will say this, I think that it will be a little bit tougher for teams just to crush guys. I think that they'll be able to put together the best 8 teams in the nation to go at it, not teams that just are pageantry and you guys like them because they have contracts and things like that. Well, exclusives, no. The best of the best play each other. And I think that when you get down to that with the top 8 teams, you're not going to have the SEC being the most dominant force in this situation. They already showed their hand during bowl season that, pretty much it's an overrated conference. As I always say, I think that it just comes down to Bama and whoever else wants to be really good in the conference. Everybody else is exceptional in their own little way, but I don't think that you have to go so crazy about the SEC. They only won 4 games, and they had literally every team in the conference go except for Vanderbilt. And, they lost big-time games that people did not see coming either with the SEC. So I would say this, just kind of relax a little bit when it comes down to this conference. I'm not trying to just throw them under the bus or anything like that. Alabama is so good that when everybody else looks that looks that good as well too. But I think though at the end of the day, this was a down year for the SEC. I know they'll be back in full force next year. So Alabama and Georgia aren't going to really have it that easy next year. So I'll pretty much go ahead and put my stamp on it that we might be able to see ourselves a new SEC team next year because this should motivate the rest of the conference moving forward as well, too. So there it is. Congratulations to Georgia on winning the national championship. And we move forward to our CBB top 25 showdown matchups today. So we have a game going in the Big 12 today. And we actually have 2 ranked games going in the Big 12. But I'm going to cover the one that is showing off for the number 1 team in the nation, and that's going to be Baylor. Baylor is coming into this game 15-0. You have Texas Tech 11-3. This Texas Tech coming off their best win of the season, beating Texas at home as well too. So we have a lot of things working in our favor in this spot. When it comes to if you like Texas Tech is 8-6 against the spread, and then also they are 0-2 on the road, and they're 1-1 in Big 12 play. Now, Baylor comes into this game 9-5-1 against the spread. They're 9-0 at home. They've also went 3-0 against the Big 12, and they're 3-0 versus ranked teams as well, too. So Baylor comes in here looming a big danger to possibly get knocked off. And I know it sounds crazy, but I don't think that Baylor has played really their best basketball yet. They're playing great basketball because they already play great defense as is, but I don't think that they're hitting their stride as well as they were last year. And I think that there is a little bit of leakage, even though it doesn't look like it right now since the team's 15-0 and everything. But I still think that Baylor is going to have to work for this one today. Yes, I know that they're at home, but Texas Tech is coming off of an emotional win Saturday against one of their arch rivals, and then they're over in Waco now. They're going against another arch rival in Baylor. So pretty much, I think that this one will not be an easy out for Baylor at all. I think Texas Tech brings their A game today. This game will be very, very close. And as you can see, they have a very long spread in this game. So I like the plus 12 today, even though Baylor is one of the better double-digit spread covering teams in college basketball. Still, today is a new day, and I think that Texas Tech knows that they have to take it to Baylor early and be right in the mix of this game. As we would say at the track, they got to stay with the pace. So if they stay with the pace, they should easily cover this game. So there it is. Number 19 Texas 11-3 at number 1 Baylor 15-0. And I know a lot of Baylor fans, it's unbelievable when you see that your team is number 1-0 and the defending national championship. Man, 20 years ago, they would have never dreamed of a day like this, but it is what it is. It's a new day in the college basketball ranks. All right, so we move forward to our next game, and that's going to be the Auburn and Bama game. And it's funny that you have Bama lose last night. Then they play against their arch rival, the most hated, Auburn today in basketball. And yeah, as you know, Bama has kind of been falling apart lately because Bama was a top 10 team, and now they're number 24 in the nation. Auburn now is number 4 in the nation themselves. So, Bama has not really been the same since that Gonzaga win. I think that they kind of had it in their head that they have made it. And then they have to remember that they beat Gonzaga. Gonzaga is a very still a very inflated mid-major at the end of the day. They are capable of beating the top teams in the nation, but when you beat Gonzaga, you really can't sit up there and poke your chest out and be like, we beat Gonzaga. I know Gonzaga has a lot of great players, but you have to understand that Gonzaga plays a lot of bad teams at the same time too. And when they play against these better teams, these Power 5 teams, it makes sense when they get a quick upset against them, even if it's not one of the teams that has the big name in there, because they at the end of the day, their benches are much better than Gonzaga's bench. Gonzaga's going about 7-8 deep. These teams can go about 11, 12 deep if they really want to. So it is what it is at the end of the day. But when you look at this matchup, you have an Auburn team coming in here very confident, 11-4 against the spread, 1-2 on the road, though. That's the one thing that they need to pick up on. They're 3-0 in the SEC, and they're 1-1 versus ranked teams. Now, Alabama, on the other hand, they're 7-8 against the spread, but they're 7-0 at home as well. They're 1-2 in conference play, and then they're 2-0 versus ranked teams. This looks to be a very, very good game, and I really do like the way that this game is setting up as well, too. So I do have a feeling that we're going to have ourselves some fun today over in Tuscaloosa, in T-Town, as they like to call it. But I like Auburn to go ahead and continue their hot play. Brucey Pearl is built for games like this one. I know Alabama is going to be up for it because the football team lost last night, and they got to make up for the football team losing last night. But I don't think that Auburn's going to get that memo, and I think that they're going to step their game up because this team is really good. They're Final Four good, just like a few years ago, but that team was a surprise Final Four team. This team, you'll see them coming from a mile away because they have athleticism and they have guys with high basketball IQ, and then they have one of the greatest characters in all of college basketball, Brucey Pearl, as their head coach. So this should be a pretty good game today, and I look forward to watching this game as well, too. I would say you should be tuning in as well because this is possibly the game of the day. All right, so there it is. There it is. All right, so we're going to go ahead and we're going to move forward to our first commercial break. And when you guys get back, we're going to go ahead and get into the state of the Lakers. And we're also going to get into the NBA Tuesday night. And then after that, we have Talking Tickets. So you guys stay tuned. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live.
Good News Only Racing Club, led by the legendary Doug O'Neill, the trainer of 2 Kentucky Derby winners, and I'll have another, and Nyquist. Also trained two-time Breeders' Cup champ Golden Sense, who are just a part of a long list of thoroughbred champions trained by Doug O'Neill. The Good News Only Racing Club has a young core of horses to look out for in Dennis's Celery, Irish Heatwave, and Notre Dame, just to name a few. Win the day every day with the Good News Only Racing Club, a proud sponsor of the NFL Bet Exchange.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production.
Tune into Big Wave Boxing every week with a brand new guest, with the one and only Pop DiBiase, the PrimeTime Capper, getting the best boxing stories, best boxing angles, and the truth when it all comes down to the sweet science. Tune in to Big Wave Boxing on the Prime Wave Media channel on YouTube.
All right, we are back with the premier sports betting show, the PrimeTime was live with the I'm sorry about that. I'm just trying to make sure that I got this volume down and everything like that. So gotta mess with my messenger on my computer real quick. So yeah, man, it is what it is at the end of the day. We pretty much have ourselves in the looper today for the Lakers. They 2 days off after their last loss. So I think that that's pretty good for the Lakers at this point to kind of get the time out a little bit and just kind of get their legs up underneath them after their first loss in a while. You know what I mean? So pretty much we have ourselves a Laker team that is going in the right direction in 2022. The Lakers right now, for everybody who's just always they're just the worst ever. They're actually 3-1 to start off the year 2022, and they have won their last 5 out of 7 games as well too. After having a quick 4-game winning streak snapped the other night against the Grizzlies, the Lakers really did pretty much figure out some things through that winning streak and through their losing streak, what's going to work and what's not going to work. But it's still a game-by-game situation. So I would say that I don't think that they're off and running yet, but they're getting really close to it, okay? So when I look at the Lakers' stats going into tomorrow night's game, and we'll talk more, I'll break more of it down tomorrow because the game is tomorrow, but LeBron has averaged 34.6 points per game in their last 10. Their next game is going to be at Sacramento. The Lakers lead that's 2-1, and AD is going to be out for about 3 more weeks before return. I think that AD is going to wind up probably being out, and then most likely it's either going to be right before the All-Star break when he comes back or right after the All-Star break when he comes back. I say 3 weeks because I say that 3 weeks is a good time to measure it up, and I think it will be good for him to come back the 1st of February so then he can establish a rhythm. So before they go to the All-Star break, then when everybody comes back and when the league is ready to roll, then the Lakers can hit everybody upside the head with the healthy AD, who's already been back for a few games with monitored minutes. But at the end of the day, I'm not the decision maker for the Lakers, but I think that would possibly be the best option for the Lakers as they monitor this Anthony Davis situation and make sure that he's all the way healthy when he comes back. So we do have that in regard. Malik Monk has been playing great basketball the last few games as well. THT as well too. So these two guys are stepping it up big. Kendrick Nunn should be close to getting back very soon. Once he enters the lineup, I think things will be even better. Stanley Johnson is playing very good basketball. He's starting nightly, but he's not getting like say 30 minutes a game, but he's in there when they need him to, when they need defense and they need things to lock up. He's brought a good energy to the Lakers, and I think that it's becoming a little contagious as well too. So hopefully he can stick around after this second 10-day contract because I think that he's a vital piece to the chemistry of the team. I'm not saying he's one of the Lakers' top players and he's going out there for 20, 30 points, but still he was a top 10 pick. And now he's finally being able to play somewhat to his potential, because I think that they overvalued him and they didn't really draft him the correct way. He's really in the light of a bigger Drew Holiday, and I think that they didn't really expose that enough to where, he was sufficient enough in Detroit. But Detroit is just a bad situation in general for a lot of young players right now in the NBA. So hopefully he gets everything back together and he can write himself his own little story, just like his teammate Trevor Ariza. A lot of people have to understand Trevor started off a little slow too. He was a good player, but he wound up with the Knicks when they were really bad. And then he was sent down to Orlando, playing with them. He was traded down to Orlando in the old Steve Francis trade. Yeah, that was it. When Steve Francis was moved up to New York. Trevor Ariza was a throw-in in that trade. And then the funniest part about Trevor Ariza is this. When the Lakers acquired Trevor Ariza, they traded Brian Cook. And Brian Cook was the better player, it seemed like, for the deal. And everybody's like, why is the Lakers getting rid of Brian Cook? And the Lakers went and got Ariza, and they got themselves a pick as well, too. And everybody was more about the pick. And, oh, yeah, they got Trevor Ariza. Trevor Ariza was the sole reason why the Lakers made that deal, because when he was in New York, he absolutely killed the Lakers. And then when he was in Orlando, he did the same thing. So they had to get him. The first night Trevor Ariza was the Lakers, he got himself about 3 or 4 steals, had about 12, 13 points, and the rest is history. So pretty much from that point on, Trevor became more of a household name in the NBA. And that's what I'm saying is I'm just using him for example on players that you don't have to start off with the big splash to get where you got to get in this league. Because at the end of the day, the best thing you can tell anybody at the end of your career is that, hey, I played in the league for 12 years. Even if you weren't an all-star, even if you weren't, all pro, things like that, you were able to log that much time into a professional league. So that means that you had to do something to stick around for that time as well, too. So, just a little bit of words of advice, especially for people who maybe behind in something and, need to know that at the end of the day, you can still finish first in the race. It's that simple. Okay. All right. So, State of the Lakers, we'll be back tomorrow. We'll break down the Kings and Lakers tomorrow night. Tomorrow night's game in Sacramento as well. So you guys make sure to be ready for that as well. So we move forward back to NBA Tuesday night. Well, I'm just already skipping days and stuff. What's wrong with you, Pop? All right, so we do have the Suns and the Raptors tonight in the North tonight. So we have a real good situation brewing here with this one, and we have a Suns team that's 30-9 on the season, and the Raptors are 20-17. Now the Suns are 3-1 against the spread and straight up in January, but their over and under is even, and then in their last 10 they're 6-4. Now, the Raptors, on the other hand, are red hot this month. They're 5-0 against the spread and straight up in the month of January. They've won over in 4 out of their 5 games, and they've won their last 7 out of 10. When I look at this one, it's easy for me to go ahead and jump on this, and I know it sounds kind of contrarian because it's kind of like the obvious bet. But I think with the way that the Raptors have improved since the start of the season, you have to understand at one point, I think this team was like 9-16, 9-17. And they've really peeled off a lot of wins as of late. You know what I mean? They weren't really good to start the year off. They were terrible at home. I think they dropped the first 7 in a row at home. So pretty much they've been able to nip that in the butt. They've been able to clean that up. And I know the Suns are really good, and they really go into every house and really own that house. They're really good on the road. But the thing is, though, the Raptors are hot right now. And when the Raptors are a hot team, they're a tough team. And they're going to be at home tonight. And this is always a tough game for everybody in the NBA when they play in Toronto. Either you bring it or you're going to get smoked. I think what happens tonight, the Raptors get off to a nice start, and they really go ahead and they just carry this game and win this game by 5 or better as the dog. So I love the home dog tonight, and let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out. All right, so we move on to our next game, and this is going to be the Wolves at the Pelicans. The Wolves at the Pelicans. This should be a good one too. The Wolves are minus 160 tonight. The Pelicans are plus 3.5, being a plus 135 money line, over under 227.5 as well too. Now New Orleans and the Timberwolves have met on I think are split this season. I have to double check, but when I look at my notes for this game, you have a Wolves team that's 4-1 straight up in January. That's pretty good because they were kind of slacking a little bit there at the end of December. They're 2-3 against the spread this month, and then also they've went under in 3 out of those 5 games. Now, no, actually, I'm sorry, they're 3-2 against the spread this month, and then they went over in 3 out of those 5 games, like I said, and then they're 5-5 in their last 10. Now, the Pelicans are 1-4 straight up this month. 2-3 against the spread, went under in 3 out of their 5 games, but they're 5-5 in their last 10. When I look at this game, I really can't pick a side, but I can go ahead and say that this one is more of a scoreboard watching game, and I think that you will go ahead and I will make some money tonight if you believe in the over. I know that the over is getting bet down because, right, I just seen it recently. It was at 226.5. So that means that a lot of people are betting the under because they're looking at the last 5 games that these teams have played. But I think tonight is a night where both teams are going to open it up and score some points tonight. They always seem to really put points on the board when they see each other. So I'm going to go with that trend. It doesn't really matter about what they've looked like in the last few games. Today's game is totally different from those games prior to this. So when you know how the matchup kind of works out and the way that this matchup sets up, the over is a very good play in this spot. So that's what we're going to do here, and we're moving on. So pretty much we move on to a good oldie but goodie rivalry in the NBA, and that's going to be the Bulls and the Pistons. And the Bulls and Pistons, this used to be almost like commonplace when it came down to best teams in the East and facing off and things like that, and being in the same division as well too. So yeah, man, Pistons Bulls has a lot of history to it. The Pistons coming to this game plus 650 tonight. The Bulls are minus 1,000. The Bulls are also a 13.5 point favorite, and the over under is 219.5 tonight. So when I look at my notes, I see the Pistons coming in here probably having their strongest start to a month all season. They're 4-2 against the spread and straight up in January. Now, when it comes down to the over under, they're even in those 6 games that they played, and in their last 10, they've lost their last 6 out of 10. So that's, but they've won 4 out of 2. So that means that pretty much they have put it all together after a 4-game losing streak. So I think that the Pistons, you have to really take them seriously tonight. Now, the Bulls, red hot coming into this game. They're 3-1 in the month of January. They're even when it comes to the spread. Now, this team, it has won their last 9 out of 10, but they also lost their last game as well, too. So that 9-game win streak was snapped as well. So that's literally, they've really won their last 9 out of 11. So this team is very, very, man, this team is killing it right now. So there's not much to hate on with the Bulls, even though I don't hate, but there's not much to dislike about what the Bulls are doing right now. And you tell yourself, well, they should be able to have a walk in the park with these guys. Not so fast. The Pistons and Bulls have had themselves some pretty good games this season, even though the first game did get a little out of hand, but the Pistons were able to kind of suffice things and kind of get back into it late in the game, but it still wasn't enough. Tonight, with the way that the Pistons are playing this month and the way that the lines makers just keep overlooking them, see, this is going to be a fault of somebody who doesn't pay attention to the games night in and night out. Because if anybody knows, in the month of January, the Pistons have been a dog money. You know what I mean? So because every time they've cashed three of those times, they were a big dog. And that includes their last game as well, too. So pretty much I like what I see here. So I like the Pistons with the plus 13.5 tonight. The Bulls are going to be tough, but I think the Pistons are, with already playing the Bulls a few times this season, they'll be able to really kind of combat things tonight and make it real tough on the Chicago Bulls, who are the NBA upstart of who's the new kid on the block when it comes to teams that are at the top level and everything like that. We all know the Bulls aren't the new kids on the block, but they haven't been around for a while. So, it is what it is. All right, so we move forward and we have ourselves the game of the night, which is going to be the Warriors and the Grizzlies. This game is going to be in Memphis tonight as well, too. You have a Grizzlies team that's coming in here is on fire. You know what I mean? And then you have the Warriors coming back with, their all-star fellow splash Clay Thompson, who had a pretty decent game for his comeback game Monday night. But, everybody in the NBA was real happy to see him. So, it's going to be pretty fun. But here goes the second game. And, this game is going to be a little different because they're going to be on the road tonight and they're going against one of the best teams in the league and in the conference. So the Warriors 3-2 straight up in the month of January. Also, they are 2-3 against the spread this month as well, too. And then they've went under in 3 out of those 5 games. Nothing new there because the Warriors are the leader in games that have went under this season. And then you have a Warriors team that's 6-4 in their last 10. Now, this is a team that's lost 9 games. So that means that a little bit that they're not going to be your best buddy every single night like they were the first 60 days or so in the NBA. So you have a Grizzlies team coming in here 5-0 against the spread and straight up in this month. Then they've also won their last 4 going out in December. So they've won their last 9 in a row. So this team is red hot coming in here and just coming off that Lakers win as well, 2 Sunday night in LA. Now, this team has went under in 3 out of their 5 games this month. And as I said before, this team is in here on a 9-game winning streak. So that means that they won their last 9 out of 10 as well, too. So there it is. The Grizzlies coming to this game very confident, and they've already beat the Warriors this year, too. So the Warriors got their work cut out for them, to be honest with you. This team is no joke when it comes to the Grizzlies. They have Ja Morant, who's one of the best point guards in the NBA, if not the best point guard in the NBA. And then they got a supporting cast that nobody needs to say, okay, look at me, look at me. No, they know who the superstar is, and they just rock around him. This reminds me a lot of the old Allen Iverson 76ers, but way more athletic and way more younger. So all I got to say is to the rest of the NBA when it comes to the Memphis Grizzlies, watch out. This team is really good. So I think that it's tough to pick a winner here, but you can go ahead and scoreboard watch with this one. And as I said before, the Warriors are notorious for going under this season. So I expect this game to go under. This game might not even make it to 100 points on each side because that's how intense this game is going to be tonight, because this is a playoff level type game. Because when you look at it, the Warriors are 30-9. You got the Grizzlies 28-14. They're not that far back from being, an even higher seed in the Western Conference. So there it is, Warriors at the Grizzlies tonight. This should be a very, very good game and will be the game of the night. All right, so we move on to our next spot, our nightcap, and that's going to be over at the Crypto.com Center. But real LA people still call it Staples Center. So, I just can't get used to Crypto.com Center. I hate to tell AEG this, but I think it's kind of cheap, to be honest with you. And I don't know if that company might be in business in the next 5 years. This is a crypto, they say it's here to stay, but every day I hear somebody talk about it's taking a big dump or something on the market or something. So pretty much it is what it is at the end of the day. So hopefully everything works out with Crypto.com Arena. But first the Lakers had Wish sponsoring them, and now they do Crypto.com Arena. Man, we're gonna have to step our game up a little bit, LA. All right, so we have ourselves the Clippers and the Nuggets. The Nuggets coming in here minus 160 tonight. Clippers are plus 135. The Clippers are a plus 3.5 doggy dog at home tonight, and there is a 213.5 point spread as well too. Now the Nuggets come in here 3-2 in the month of January. They've went 2-3 against the spread, and they've went under in 3 out of their 5 games this month. Now they're 6-4 in their last 10. Now the Clippers, on the other hand, have dropped their last 10 out of 13 games, And also the Clippers are 2-3 against the spread this month. They've went over in 3 out of their 5 games, and they're 4-6 in their last 10. The Clippers are just really middling. Now the Clippers are 20-21. The Nuggets are 20-18. The Nuggets could be a far better team this season if they had 2 of their key contributors healthy at this point in time. That's meaning Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray. Now, Jokic has done a great job carrying this team for what they have, but we already knew that the Nuggets were one of the more talented teams in the NBA, even without those 2 guys. So now the Nuggets are just kind of going through the motions every night. They're still right up there, 5th seed in the playoffs right now and everything like that. So they're pretty confident on where they're at right now, what they're doing right now. And I think that they're going to step up their game as well, too, as we keep moving along in 2022 before we get to the playoffs. I think a lot of teams are going to really take off after we get done with the All-Star break, to be honest with you. And the Nuggets are one of those teams on my list. Now, the Clippers, on the other hand, the Clippers are like a boat that has a hole in it, and they're slowly sinking, but they keep figuring out ways to plug the hole. And if their captain of the ship can come back, Kawhi, in time, the Clippers may have a shot to get to the playoffs and advance again. But I think that their big plans are going to be for next year. I would expect the Clippers to go out and really, really look for free agents this summer, because I know that they can go ahead and sell something real nice over there with the Clippers, with them moving to Inglewood in the near future as well, too. So when it comes down to the game, you have a Nuggets team that is really into whooping up on the Clippers at home. And I think tonight, with the way that the Clippers are kind of back and forth, but at this point, they're really not playing great basketball, but they did beat the Hawks the other day, but the Hawks aren't playing great road ball. So that was kind of like canceled each other out. But I think tonight, the Nuggets absolutely romp on the Clippers. I love the -3 here on them. Let's see how it goes. Let's see how it shakes out, and we move forward from there. All right, so let's go ahead and get into Talkin Tickets. Talkin Tickets is your favorite portion of the day. And pretty much let's go ahead and get into the college basketball ranks. And I do have 2 college basketball tickets for you today. Yeah, I went ahead and blessed you guys with the Dog Day Pick 4, but we'll start off with the Pick 6. Now, in the Pick 6, it's 52-1. We're going to take Rutgers with the +115 today. On the money line, we also have South Carolina at +15.5 in their game against Tennessee. Then we have Old Akron, where Mr. LeBron James is from, his favorite college, Akron University. We have them at -8.5. And then we have Marquette tonight at home versus DePaul with the 6.5. And then we have Texas Tech. As I said before, I like them with the +12 tonight. And then we have the other Texas team, the most dominant Texas team over the last 10 years, in my opinion, even though they don't play in the Big 12. But Stephen F. Austin is damn good, to be honest with you. I'm taking them with the 13.5 tonight. I think that they're going to absolutely romp tonight as well, too. I love the 52-1 on the ticket tonight. You guys single what you like, and we'll go from there. All right, so let's go ahead and jump into this Dog Day Pick 4 for the college basketball today. Up first, we got Stanford, who's going to be taking on USC over at the Farm today, and that should be a good one at home for Stanford. I love them with the +225 in that spot. You know, USC is undefeated going into the game, but, you know, that's a smoke and mirrors undefeated. They got to get popped, and it's going to be today. So let's go ahead, Stanford, and cast that +225. Then you got Miami, Florida, not Miami, Ohio, Miami, Florida today, money line in their rivalry game against the boys from Tallahassee, Florida State. So I'm taking them with the +240 today. And then we got another rivalry game today between Oklahoma and Texas. And I love Oklahoma in this spot. So I'm going to go ahead and take Oklahoma with the +240 to get themselves a nice win today as well, too. And then we wrap it up with Auburn's money line in the Battle of Alabama and the battle in the War Eagle versus Roll Tide. So pretty much I'm going to take Auburn with the +125. We have ourselves literally a 80-1 ticket on a 4-piece. So if we hit this one bad boy right here, you can go ahead and cash out almost $800. Well, you will cash out $800 for $10. But why don't you go ahead and have some fun with it? minimum $20, man. Try to get the bands off this one. I'm telling you, that's why the ticket is set up for you guys, because this ticket can hit. All these teams have a great shot of winning these games. So that's why I set it up for you guys just like this. All right. Let's move on to our final group of the day, and that's going to be the NBA Super High Five at 32-1. We have the NBA Super High Five with the Raptors money line as our dog of the day, plus 150. And also we have the over 226.5 with the Wolves and the Pelicans. And then we have the plus 13.5 with the Pistons. And then we're doing the under 221 with the Warriors and Grizzlies. And we end off with the -3 on the Nuggets. This will be a 32-1 ticket. And man, I'm telling you guys right now, this should be a good day. It should be a good day. And as you guys know, we swept out on Sunday with the Raiders. And yesterday when we did the CFB bets, we went 2-2. So, all in all, feeling good, feeling great, getting you guys all these good winners and things like that. So let's just keep the momentum rolling you know what I mean? So pretty much we'll be back tomorrow. I'm going to see if we'll get Mike Abadir in here either tomorrow or Thursday. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. I know that we have a lot to talk about as well too. So I want to thank you guys very much once again for tuning in. You guys are the absolute best. I'll be back tomorrow at noon. So I'll be here. So pretty much we'll be talking some more NBA, talking some previewing a little bit of the NFL tomorrow as well too. Just getting a good idea about, what to expect, and also talking some boxing as well too, as we got these big fights coming up in the next few weeks as well. So you guys make sure to tune in for that. This is the Premier Sports Betting Show, the Primetime Angles Live, with your host, Pop DiBiase, the Primetime Capper. And as I always like to say, bet with your head, not with your heart. The movement is moving. If you got a hunch, bet a bunch. And I am gone.
From the East and the West, you've heard others, but now you've tuned into the best. This is a Prime Wave Media production